Wow, the World Cup is back. I haven't been able to see this for this 12 years. I haven't seen the World Cup. The last one 4 years ago, I was working as a tour guide. And I remember it was a jet ski tour guide. It was probably the most random thing you've heard this weekend. And I used to take people around New York on jet skis and do laps of the city. And the 1 second of match I saw is we were riding up the Hudson River where all the skyscrapers are to my right, New Jersey's to your left. And I'm with a couple. There's two people, and I see this screen, and I'm like, they're playing ball. And I pull up on the river, and I see this. They're playing the World Cup on like a dock, like a restaurant that's on the water with a big screen. It was really cool, but I'm really hyped that I can see finally some good, exciting, type of thing. I know there's the all the controversy surrounding this World Cup, but I am very excited. Just I know, of course, Italy's not there, but as Vincent says here, we got USA Wales coming up on the weekend. I think USA might take it. I think they're maybe the more complete team. Wales is top heavy a little bit with Bale and Daniel James, and they've got Aaron Ramsey starting, which is probably not a good indicator of the level of talent that Wales has around the rest of the pitch. But anyway, it's been a fun weekend for me, just getting ready for today, getting things square in my house. Last night went to the mall, and I went to a very expensive mall, and we're looking for something around our house. But this particular mall is like really upper class, and I went into walk in the store, and the security guards are like just looking at me. I've got an orange windbreaker on, look like a weirdo, and a scarf which is white stained from the Stadio Olimpico that I got 16 years ago. And I'm like totally out of place. And I don't know, it's a weird feeling like when you're around people who have like designer clothes and stuff and you're just like I'm just regular. I don't know, I do my thing. I'm not trying to like wear Louis Vuitton or Gucci out to the mall on a Saturday at 11:30. Just not my thing. And you know, I don't know. I think that's so whack. Like that type of consumer culture. It's cool if you have a thing or two, but I think that when people start to make you feel like you have to dress a certain way or buy like certain brands. I've seen kids get made fun of for that in school. I work as a teacher, so it makes me feel sad. Like brands is just silly, um, so overrated. But anyway, yeah, that was my weird weekend story. If you were watching my last episode, I spoke about my eggplant dish that I was making. My pasta alla norma, typical Sicilian dish, originates from Catania. This one came out pretty good, but I actually got a stomach ache. I learned what I did here, and I will share my recipe if you would like it. Write a comment. And if you're watching this as a recording, also drop a comment as well, drop a like, all that good stuff. And this is the thing, it's just like any type of red sauce dish, any type of tomato sauce, except what you put in there is eggplant. What I learned about eggplant is that they soak up oil. And if you don't cook it at a very high temperature, if you don't fry it, deep fry it, then it becomes just like a sponge and you get all that oil in the eggplant. And then when you eat that, you eat all that oil, and that's not really good for your stomach. So I made a rookie move, but I'll be back. I'll perfect the dish. I was listening to this new podcast today on ball, the Tifo podcast, which is connected to the Athletic, and they're talking about some issues regarding this World Cup. But one issue that stuck with me, and you can see my nice little banner I got up here, a little graphic, is that they made a case for, people are outraged over the human rights aspect leading to this World Cup. However, there's things in football that we actively do that 99% of us are engaged in. And they make the point like we buy football kits, we buy balls, and we don't think twice about it. Yet, if we're really concerned about workers' rights, then we kind of have to put our money where our mouth is, right? And that means we pick and choose our battles. So the same people who are not the same people, but you have, of course, the people who perished and have life-changing injuries from construction. But then what about the other people who may have made, for example, right? They work for a company overseas in countries like, let's say, like Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, where maybe they're given a fair wage, probably not, not a lot of money, working 8 to 12 hours a day. sweatshop-like conditions, what we would determine as sweatshops, and really grueling shifts. And is that not worker abuse from our standard of living in the Western Hemisphere? And it kind of is, right? So we have to, one, I think, hold companies accountable to what's in our means, but then also, like, if we really want to sit on this moral high ground, then be consistent in our opinions about what is what's the word, about what is morally not significant but tolerable as well. What can we digest with what we do in our choices? This t-shirt's from Abercrombie. I know they're not making it in the USA. They sell it in the mall, and it's like consistently 25% off. It's always on sale. It's not made by an American. It's not made by somebody in Italy or Spain. It's made in a thrift shop. So, like, can I tolerate that when I go to the mall and I see it's for $15 and something that's made in the USA is $50? We can only do what you can. So if you want to have that shirt that's made in the USA, then you're going to have maybe 2 or 3 of them instead of like 6 or 7 in your wardrobe to choose from. And that's something that we have to decide if we're cool with or not. And just, it's not a whataboutism, because I don't like what about, but what about that? It's just making sure that you're consistent with social arguments and what the media wants to put forth on their cover headlines, because there's decisions that we make every day which are just framed in a different manner, such as buying a football that's from whatever brand, and it becomes part of this whole supply chain of encouraging labor at a cheap rate. Anyway, I thought that was a pretty interesting discussion there. I want to show you a graphic right now, and what do you think about this? Because I looked at this loss against Austria today, and I'm like, bro, you got to be kidding me. Like, why is Gatti there? Sorry, get that comment out of the way. Bonucci, Acerbi, bro, are you kidding me? Like, be real with me for a second. We're trying to get a new look Italy, redevelop this program, and we've got Bonucci and Acerbi there. Like, you got to cut me a break here. Like, I don't know what Mancini is possibly thinking with this lineup. Say, not a good showing from Zagnola, but look at, I don't understand it. Why wouldn't you just go with young guys? Gianluca Scalvini on the bench? Explain to me that. You're going 3-4-3. Like, Mancini, you're not going to do this. This is not a tactic these players are remotely familiar with. Why are you putting 3 across the line up top? And then, okay, Di Marco, yes, he's really good in that position as a wingback. Di Lorenzo, he plays in as a right back on a 4-man. Barella, Verratti, yeah, those are Italy's best midfielders. Raspadori as a number 10. I'm sorry, as like a false 9 wearing number 10. I don't know. That's not really his thing. He's a support striker. And Politano, he's a good shift player. I don't think he deserves, like, he's not going to have a future with Italy as a starter, as a difference maker. Vincenzo Grifo, though, plays for Freiburg. He's actually born in Germany, speaks German, and has Italian parents. And when I looked at his team, I said, Freiburg, they're probably not even in like the top 10 in Bundesliga. Wrong. They're in second place, just right behind Bayern Munich and 2 points ahead of Red Bull Leipzig. So that is a serious squad, in fact. And he's a player I really like. I think that he's one who should definitely try to come to Serie A, but doing as well as he is for Freiburg, it's a bit more complicated than it is. Speaking about complicated, I read about Ivan Toney's little betting issues, and that's not going to be good. And I don't know what happens with Ivan Toney. I'm not going to go on a tangent just for 20 seconds here. If he had put money on the line for over 200 matches, and if the FA bans him for a year or 2 years, let's say worst case scenario 2 years, can he play under UEFA if FA bans him? Because FA ultimately falls under UEFA. Then what happens? If UEFA has also complied with that, or they're aligned with each other, where does he go then? Does he go to like the Middle East? Does he go to, I don't know, MLS or something like that? Just thinking about that, that's a crazy situation going on with him. Brentford star, Brentford best player, Brentford Verratti best player. Vincent says, I need to see I need to see something different here. I need to see Mancini go with youth and say, you're our guys. I wouldn't even care if you took half the team from the U21s. It was like, guys, look, we're going to go out there. We're going to try our best and we're going to figure it out. And we're going to, see what works and what doesn't. And as we go along, we'll really improve this team and, make something worthy of Euro 2024 and that bid, which those qualifiers will start sooner than later, soon, starting before we know it, so to speak. So this just annoys me. I want to get away from that for right now. 3 shots on target and 61% possession. I just said I'm going to leave it. I'm not. 3 shots on target. I can't get over that. But speaking about Italy, Serie A's top 3 referees, as far as where he's valued, Orsato refereed Qatar, Ecuador. And I read that it's the first time a penalty was called on the not home team, the host team, the first time in history on an opener. So Orsato, I don't want to get into it, his history of penalties, but I think that was a pretty interesting stat. And Ecuador really surprised me. I know Qatar is not good, and that's putting it nicely. However, Ecuador was like, their one-on-one skills, those guys, were really good. I thought they played some good ball. Like, they've got good players. Valencia, of course, without being said, he's ripping it up in Turkey. And if he is fit, I know he got a pretty bad knock. It looked like he twisted his knee. If he's fit, it could really complicate that group. Let's take a look at Ecuador World Cup group. I didn't plan on going with this. I believe it's the Netherlands and Senegal. And Senegal is stacked. I was watching also Tifo Football doing a tactical analysis. I was with my buddy last night. We went out for Thai food. And before we did that, we were looking at Senegal and some of these players. And bro, like, I'm trying to get you some of the players that they've used recently. Like, their last match was against Iran, actually. And for those lineups, Koulibaly, Cisse, Mendy, Ferdinand Mendy, and then the other Mendy, Nampalys Mendy, who plays for Leicester City. Nampalys, never heard that name before. Boyadia plays in Serie A, of course. He's a striker I really rate. Mane and Sarr. These are big names for Senegal. They could really make some noise in this tournament. And I would love to see them do that. I would love to see an African team just rep it for them, and do really well in this tournament. Because, I mean, goes without being said, like, African teams need to have someone to support for the continent, to get behind. It would be a really good thing for, an African team has never won the World Cup. But this is the same team that won AFCON, and they're impressive, really are. But let's go to Argentina. So for the rest of today, of this episode, we will be talking, aside from comments, we'll be talking about Roma's players in the World Cup, as well as the rest of Serie A and their stars in this World Cup. Taking a little bit look at each, I've got a cool story from Chucky Lozano when he spoke to the Players Tribune. But first, let's look at this guy, and let's look at his team. He gets the late call-up, managing to be in there, just with his fitness and just at the right time, I should say. Players on this team: Foyth from Villarreal, Lisandro Martinez from Man United, Nahuel Molina, who played at Udinese last year. He transferred to Atletico, I think in August, and that was a pretty big move that kind of went under the radar. Otamendi, Petzela, who we know as being Fiorentina's captain formerly, Christian Romero, who played for Atalanta. I skipped Gonzalo Montiel, who plays for Sevilla. Nicolas Tagliafico, who I didn't realize transferred from Ajax to Lyon. Marcos Acuna from Sevilla. Rodrigo De Paul, also from Udinese. I would really like him. I love him as a player. I'm always like throwing his name out there. Enzo Fernandez from Benfica. Papu Gomez, also at Sevilla right now still. Alexis McAllister, who's playing for Brighton under De Zerbi. Then Ezequiel Palacios for Leverkusen. Leandro Paredes, the former Roma center midfielder, whose coach said that he has the technical ability of Pirlo. I'm not sure I agree with that. Guido Rodriguez from Real Betis. Julian Alvarez from Man City, Thiago Almada from Atlanta in MLS, not Atalanta, but Atlanta. Angel Di Maria, of course, of Juve right now. Our Dybala, our man there. Angel Correa and Lautaro Martinez representing Inter. And then, of course, the big man, Lionel Messi. I am Team Messi. I'm going for Argentina because I want to see Dybala win it, and as well as Lionel. I think he is the best player of all time. Lionel Messi, call him a system player, one that didn't go and play with harder teams. I don't care. If you're going to talk about technical ability, pure talent, for me, it's Messi. When it comes to like the who's better in what sense? Like who can actually go out and be a professional and rack up points, score goals, and create assists? It's Messi. Like I don't buy into that conversation because I look at Ronaldo, who is an outstanding, incredible athlete, player, but then I look at Messi, I'm like, no, he's out of this world. He's in a league with his own, of his own. Argentina misses Giovanni Lo Celso from injury, and Simeone doesn't make it, but Correa does. That's because Nicolas Gonzalez goes up. Angel Correa at Atletico Madrid. That's right. He's been doing pretty good there. I don't miss that guy too much. Same one from Lazio. Now let's take a look at what do we got next up. Another number 21, Nicolas Zalewski. But before I do that, I also want to take a look at some comments here. Vince says, I hope they play Dybala versus Saudi Arabia. That wouldn't be fair. Dude's going to murder them. He's going to go on a tear. Anyway, Poland is my dark horse. I would like to see them go far. I like this team a lot. It's got a heavy Italian influence. They are, I think, a bit underrated going to this tournament. I could see them get into the quarterfinal. And if they can get that far, I don't know. Could they really pull it off and make an upset? I think that's probably a bit of a reach. That would be a real gambler's bet on that one. But I think that they can probably take it to any team in the tournament. I think going up until like the very last two, probably up until Brazil and Argentina, then I think that Poland is a real threat. And let's look at some of these guys in this team right now. We'll start from the back here. Szczesny, Skorupski, and Grabara from Copenhagen. So he won't be starting. It'll be Szczesny in net. And then playing at Aston Villa, we've got Bednarek and Kamil Glik, who we remember from Torino, who's actually playing in Serie B for Benevento. And then we've got Matty Cash, also for Aston Villa, Kivior for Spezia, a couple other, Bereszynski from Sampdoria. And then I'm going to skip over a couple guys, some, not as notable players here. Zalewski taking the number 21, of course. And next up would be Zielinski. We'll get to Zielinski, and he will take number 20 there. Bielek from Birmingham. Also got Szymanski from Feyenoord. I've heard he's pretty good. I had someone recently tell me and give a shout out for not to be confused with Damian Szymanski. This is Sebastian Szymanski. Zurkowski plays for Fiorentina. And we've got also Krzysztof Piatek from Salernitana. So heavy influence here from Italy, as well as Milik, who's at Juventus now, of course, and then Lewandowski. So look at some of these players. Zalewski, Lewandowski, Brzezinski, Zielinski. These are players. This is a very good, high-powered, can score from anywhere type of team. It will come down to Poland's organization and their defense. They're a little top-heavy, which I think also that takes us to Rui Patricio's Portugal, who I also see as being a bit top-heavy. Do I have a graphic for you, Rui? I sure do. Look at him there. Of course, Ronaldo, right? Should we start from there? Will Ronaldo even be starting? I'm not so confident, but let's go forwards here. Andre Silva for Leipzig. Ricardo Horta from Braga. Leao from Milan. Gonzalo Ramos from Benfica. And Joao Felix. Does Ronaldo start here? He does. I think he does at center forward with Leao next to him and perhaps Joao Felix as a right wing forward. And then I also see Joao Mario. I see Bernardo Silva, Vitinha in the midfield, Otavio from Porto, Bruno Fernandes from Manchester United, Ruben Neves from Wolverhampton, Carvalho, Mateus Nunes, also from Wolves, Paulinho from Fulham. And I also think that this team is top heavy. I was hesitant to say that because I look at Ruben Neves and I think, okay, he can protect the defense and he can be a good guy in front to protect the whole back line. But then I look at these defenders, Ruben Diaz, yes, very good. Diago Dalot, Mendes, Cancelo, they're good. They actually are a pretty good team. Can Portugal win it with the Ronaldo controversy ongoing, with their coach, who a lot of Portuguese fans do not like? And I don't know. Even with these players, it's so crazy to think that even with guys like Joao Felix and Vitinha and Bernardo Silva is a phenomenon. He's a great player. Are they better than Poland and Bruno? I don't think so. I think these two are even, actually. So Zalewski and Rui Patricio's team, I think they ultimately cancel each other out. And that's a game that I would really like to see. I know that that's got to be probably a marquee match. I think of like pound for pound, two teams against each other who are just full of talent on that. And I want to see Portugal's World Cup schedule and get that to you right now. Ghana, South Korea, and Uruguay. So Ghana is their first one. That's upcoming on Thursday on American Thanksgiving. And then their next match is against Uruguay, against Viña. Get to him next on the following Monday. And then against South Korea. Ghana, they should win. Uruguay should win. South Korea should win. So let's say Portugal comes out of this group as winner. I think that's fair enough to say. And if they can do that, if they can get on the same wavelength, then Portugal can go pretty far. But it is based upon them building up some chemistry. A lot of individual players on this team. So we will see. We will see how that goes. I should have, next time I do this, I'm going to put up the little, all the groups here together. So Group A was today, of course, with Qatar, Ecuador, and then Senegal and the Netherlands play tomorrow, as well as the United States versus Wales. So just to jog back to Argentina, that will be Zalewski versus Dybala. That's where we get that match. And I'll get you that schedule as well. So let's look up Argentina World Cup schedule. And I'm going to have to see that match. That's going to be Wednesday, November 30th, Poland versus Argentina. And that's the last one of that group. They got Saudi and Mexico in there. So last one that will come down to both those teams. I don't think Argentina loses points here at all. I think they go 9 points and they take that. I don't want to say easily because I think that match against Poland is going to be something. But yeah, I think that's what's going on here. Let's take a look also. As I mentioned, Viña's team. Do I have a graphic for Viña? I don't think I do. So we're gonna go back to that. Let's jump over here for a second. Fernando Muslera. Why did I make him Portuguese? Muslera from Galatasaray, and he was also, of course, Lazio's keeper. And Diego Godin, miraculously still playing, hasn't retired yet. Jose Jimenez from Atletico Madrid, once highly rated. I believe that he still is a very good center back. Viña is there, and Coates, pretty good player there from Sporting. Martin Cáceres, back from the dead, playing for LA Galaxy. That's where he's been. Matias Oliveira from Napoli. Bentancur from Tottenham now, from Juve. De La Cruz from River Plate. See how he is. I don't know much about that guy. Lucas Torreira from Galatasaray. Don't get me started on Torreira because I wanted him at Roma very badly this summer. Matias Vecino from Lazio. Federico Valverde from Real Madrid. He will be the player to watch on that team, as well as Luis Suarez, who is there from Nacional. and we know Luis Suarez all too well. Darwin Nunez, I just said, and then we've got Facundo Torres representing Orlando City. Cavani is back there, and he's at Valencia now. And Facundo Pellistri from Manchester United. So that's going to be a fun team to watch, this Uruguay. Really want to see what they're capable of, because I haven't seen them play too much, but knowing that Suarez is still on the pitch, they're going to have a fighting chance or a biting chance. Oh, what a good pun master I am. Me and my excellent puns. So we can see this here. If you are able to zoom in, if you're looking at this, take a look forward, and you can see these are all the Italian players. I should say Serie A players and their teams. So Serbia, very heavy with Italian, or should say Serie A influence here. Fiorentina, Zerkovski, Milinkovic, and Jovic also for Serbia there. Empoli, no World Cup players. Sorry, Empoli. Atalanta's got Pasalic playing for Croatia, Maele for Denmark, and Derun and Koopmeiners, so they've got a bit of a Dutch influence in Bergamo right now. Inter with a slew of stars, Brozovic, Onana, Lukaku, De Vrij, and Dumfries for the Netherlands. So 2 players, De Vrij and Dumfries there. And then Lautaro and Correa for Argentina. Who we got? I know there's a couple other players for Serbia there, but it should be said, and I'll get to Theo Hernandez in a few minutes. We've got Giroud, also representing France. Declatare for Belgium. He makes the team. And if we look at Napoli here, Anguissa for Cameroon, Zielinski, Oliveira, Kim Min-jae, Lozano. It says likely there. Lozano did make the team. And then we go down to Salernitana, and of course, Piatek, Dia, and Bran, who plays for Tunisia. I don't rate Tunisia. They're not going to do well. Samp, Berezhinski, and Duricic. There we go. Duricic for Serbia. I knew there had to be another guy. Ampadu gets in for Wales. He plays for Spezia. Kiasi plays for Ghana. Oh, he got the call up. I didn't realize that. Lukic is also for Serbia with Radonjic and Milinkovic Savic, the keeper, his younger brother. So Torino getting a bunch of stars. Torino's actually been doing pretty good, haven't they? They're in the top half of the table right now for Serie A. Ivan Juric has his team playing strong. And of course, they just tied against Roma. So shout out to Ivan Juric, I guess. Do you think Rui Patricio will start for Portugal after his performance in their friendly against Nigeria? I'm not sure. Let's see who their backup keepers there, Vincent. It's a good question. Diogo Costa for Porto or Jose Sa for Wolves. I would leave it up for the Portuguese experts to tell me who the best keeper there is, because I want to imagine that they're pretty even, these guys. Patricio, statistically, not doing well this year. The most errors, I think, in Serie A keepers of starters. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets replaced. And that's a little bit of a rocking the boat there for Portugal, because Rui is the main guy and has been for a very long time. I realize I'm blocking myself out. I need to get this banner down. So I don't know what they're going to do there, but I'm interested to see the other guys as well, because I know that Portugal has some deep, deep talent in this team. Rocco's jumping in here. I get to this one. Oh yeah, I see Italy lost its opener to Austria today. Yeah, I was talking about that in the beginning, Rocco, and I'll throw this for anyone who missed it earlier. This phenomenal 3-4-3 lineup that Mancini did. Yeah, miracle worker there, right? Acerbi, Bonucci, Gatti, but man, don't get me restarted, Rocco. We've also got a comment coming in here from Diego. Says Diogo Costa should start. He's probably the most informed. Thank you, Diego. Okay, I want to get to some other players in the World Cup as well. Theo Hernandez, to me, he's probably the best left back in the world. Is he a true left back? Not in the like classical sense of a player who holds it down defensively, Maybe he takes a pinch up. Maybe he plays a ball into the box. Teo Hernandez is a breed of his own. He makes underlapping runs, cuts through the center of the pitch once the ball goes out wide, let's say to Leao, and then he makes that run into center, making himself available as a player who can take a shot, who can set up his forward. So he's highly influential in the attacking third, Teo, and he's going to have a big World Cup. France is going to be good. It doesn't matter that they lost Benzema; they still have Giroud, and just taking a look at their at their group here, Denmark, Tunisia, like they're gonna be fine. Like they're gonna get through. They're gonna probably make it to like, depending on who their opponent is, it's a team that's worthy still, even without Benz, of getting to the semifinals. So Teo will have a hand to play for sure. Have no doubt about that. Chucky Lozano, I'm going to tell you a story right now. Well, I'm going to tell you Chucky's story. So he was talking to the Players Tribune, and this is going to take about 2 minutes, so just brace yourself. And he goes into a little story about Ancelotti, explained to him why he became highly regarded. He said, after the World Cup and the earthquake, another amazing thing happened. One day, I got this call from a number in Italy. Hola, Chucky? This is Carlo Ancelotti speaking. When I heard the name, man, it blew my socks off. You see, Ancelotti had been working as a pundit for Televisa in Mexico during the World Cup and had seen my goal. He wanted me to come join him at Napoli. It gets cooler. During the 2018-19 season, I would get calls from him every week. When I got injured, he would ask after me, how is your knee doing? How is the recovery going? That's just the way he is. When he asked me to come to Napoli, how could I say no? You already know Ancelotti. He's a great coach, but he's an even better person. My first night in Italy, he took me and my family to dinner with his whole family. And I mean his whole family. He even brought his grandkids. That meant everything to me because I think sometimes people don't realize how tough it is to change countries as a footballer, especially for Latin Americans, when the culture in Europe is so different and you are so far from family. But Ancelotti just had a way of making you feel at home. That humanity stayed with me. I thought that was a very sweet story. And that says a lot about the former Roma captain, Ancelotti, and who he is and why he has won so much. And when you saw that Real Madrid last year, they looked like a family, didn't they? And you see Carlo in the locker room smoking a cigar with his teammates, and it's such a fraternal. It's very nice. Yeah, he's the patriarch of that team as the manager, but you can tell they have a bond between them, and I think that's just something that makes football beautiful, and which makes us as fans want to hear those stories, and it puts a smile on your face. Of course, Lozano is not my favorite player, but you see him as a human for a second, and not just a player. And I've learned this, when you invest in people and you get to know a little bit about them, you'll find that maybe you like them just a little bit more. Of course, that could work out on the opposite as well. Kim Min-jae, the other Serie A star there, has made the Napoli fans quickly, I don't want to say forget, but cope with the loss of Koulibaly, with the departure of him. And he's a really, really good player. Strong one-on-one. He is very quick to beat, strong in the box, can hold players off, can win headers. I like him a lot. That was a shrewd purchase by De Laurentiis, and Napoli's sporting director. I forget his name. If you say it, I will say, yes, that's his name, but I forget it off the tip of my tongue. Then Rafael Leao. This is a player that Pioli says reminds him of Henry. He doesn't really remind me of Thierry Henry. And I've seen Henry play. I've seen him score live goals at Red Bull Stadium. This was at the end of his career, right? But I don't think Leao is at the same mental level that Henry was, because I felt that Henry could do something at all times, was consistently dangerous, whereas Leao fades in and out. I don't think he's there yet. Can he be when he's 25, 26? For sure. Yeah, he can, but he's got a lot of work to do. Whereas I felt, and it did take, it did take Henry a couple of years because he left Juventus, and then it wasn't until Real. It wasn't until Arsenal where he really found his legs. But I don't agree with Pioli here. And he makes this comparison because they're both extremely quick, technical, great dribblers. But I no, Henri even at that age was just so much better. I think. But a little fun fact here: Leao can run with a top speed of 33.76 kilometers per hour. That's about 20 miles an hour. Um, and he also said that he wants his name in Milan's museum when he finishes playing. I was reading a little article about him on Football Italia. So let's see what Leao does. If he has a big World Cup, Milan's going to get like $1.50 for this kid. So I think it's in their best interests for sure if he shows up big time. A player you're not going to like me mentioning, but it should be said that before he transfers to Juventus, he's a great player. And it's Milinkovic-Savic, Sergej, of course. And Capello has referred to him as the Ibra of midfield. And Sarri loves him, says he's one of the best players he's ever worked with, is the leading assist man in Serie A right now. He's created 7 assists in his first 13 games. Last season, he scored 11 league goals, provided 11 assists, works really hard, is a great dribbler, has excellent control, can shoot. He can pretty much cover it all. He tracks right now the most out of any player, most distance covered in the league on average, more than 11 kilometers per game, which if he maintains that, essentially means he's like a horse. It's crazy. I just can't believe. I can believe it. Yeah, never heard of Milinkovic-Savic. Yeah, at least this guy. This guy has caused a lot of problems. Not recently for Roma, thankfully, but yes, somebody else. Anyway, so before he goes to Juventus, I want to see what happens. If he scores a couple goals and Serbia goes pretty far, maybe he'll cost the Bianconeri a couple, extra million here or there. Squeeze some out of her old pocketbook. At Zielinski. Zielinski? I got to ask my Polish friends. Paulo Sousa says, his former manager, says he sees everything. He perfectly feels the space between his teammates and his opponent. He has an amazing sense of timing and pitch geometry. He can slow down or speed up the game with one pass. He is a beautiful footballer. Sometimes he just needs a little more adrenaline. Zielinski's having the best season of his career, guys. In Spalletti's 4-2-3-1, or if it's a 4-3-3, it really works out the same. Zielinski waits until Napoli quickly regain possession, and then from like a left center mid roll, what he does is he goes and he slides a little bit more central and becomes, influential in the attack. He becomes a point of reference, truly, at the center of the Napoli attack. That's what I was trying to say. And with his age right now and Lewandowski's age, you got to be feeling that this really means something to them. Not just any World Cup. It's not like, oh, yeah, we're in the World Cup party. Yeah. No, it's like, you know what? We can do something really special. Look at the players around. This is Lewandowski's last chance to really make a push and do something big internationally. Maybe, again in the Euros, but he'll be even older at that point. So you don't want to think about that. I think that Poland's going to really feel this one and do something important with Zalewski. Can they knock off a big team? I really think they can. And I was mentioning that a little bit before in this episode. All right. Lautaro Martinez. I think I did a write-up for Serie A Fantasy. I'll post it here in the chat. Serie A Fantasy. And one player who's the leading striker here in the game is Martinez. I think he had something like 126 points. And he's been having a truly breakthrough season. Last year was a bit of a slump. And, as he got Lukaku back, I think everyone was probably thinking, oh, okay, they're going to be great again. These two are going to link up. Instead, it's been all on Lautaro's back. Here you go. I just posted that in the comments. And he's strong. He's somebody who's been compared to as El Toro as compared to nicknamed El Toro because of his strength in the box. My buddy, who I talk ball with every day, my closest friend, he says that they compare him also to Tevez, or at least he reminds him a little bit of Tevez. And I think that's an interesting comparison. I don't know if he has the X factor that Tevez does have, whereas like I just felt like he was so strong, but I could see how he has shades of Tevez. And what I like most about Martinez, he's been linking up a lot with Barella, who is still one of my favorite midfielders, regardless of where he plays, is that he connects very well. And then once he drops back a little bit into the midfield, he really shines. He can find that space between the lines, work really well in tight spaces, and then create an opportunity for himself by just a little drop of the shoulder, a little feint. He works very quickly. And I think that could pair really nicely with Messi, where you have two guys who like to work off the ball, incredibly talented, can dribble, can take any person on 1v1. And that's going to be difficult for even the best defensive teams to cope with. And that's why I think Argentina is going to take this World Cup. But here's a little bit of my write-up here for Martinez. He has said in the past that his models in the game are Colombian striker Falcao. He's been compared to Pipo Inzaghi by Roberto Carlos, who talks about their similarities to be in the shadows and then score from nowhere. Yeah, I don't totally agree with that. I wouldn't say he reminds me of Inzaghi at all. He's got 8 goals, 5 assists in 21 appearances for Inter this season. And it's important to remember that Inter invested a lot in Martinez. And he cost him actually $23 million from River Plate about 4 years ago in 2018. So now, what is Lautaro worth? Maybe 60, 70-ish. So it's a pretty good ROI, return on your investment there for Martinez. Guys, let me know what you think. Give this video a thumbs up. If you've made it this far, we're in 42 minutes. It's been a bit longer than I expected, but I'm having fun. Thanks, guys, for putting in the comments as well. Appreciate that. Once again, if you want to take a quick look, here's the players that are going to be involved in the World Cup from Serie A. And you even got Kamil Glik, playing for Benevento for Poland in Serie B. Today we went over my eggplant, which came out too oily, as well as Italy failing to beat Austria and only managing 3 shots on target. Besides the fact they held 61% possession. We looked at Dybala's team, why I think that they're going to go the furthest. Dybala, Messi, and Lautaro Martinez. Who would want to face them? Not me. I can't wait to see how they start. Does Dybala get it? I don't think so. I think he's too similar to Messi. I think he goes Di Maria. Does Di Maria start? I don't know. What do you think? What is this Argentina gonna do? It's got to obviously you're going Messi. I think Messi and Martinez are the two. I don't think Angel Di Maria gets the start. That's me thinking like based upon his recent form and that, he's still coming back from injury, but knowing just that how dependable and he's one of the best players in the world. Does Di Maria go out on the right and then Lautaro and Messi have some type of interchangeable forward combination going on between them? I think that could be something as well. Rocco says Inzaghi was built and moved like a 12-year-old. The fact the way he did is crazy. A garbage collector. Yeah, but what is the name of the game, right? Get the ball in the back of the net. I don't really like that style of play, but you got to respect it. Ball goes in the back, you get the goal, and that's all that matters, right? I used to play a little bit like that, but I have nowhere near the finishing capabilities that it takes to be like a consistent 9. But I've scored a bunch of goals just being a poacher. It's not a great way, but if it counts as a goal, it's a goal. Vincent says, I remember when Barca won Martinez. Yeah, that was like 2 years ago. Balkan Warrior says Martinez and Alvarez, Messi behind them, Di Maria and Dybala as super subs. Oof. And Alvarez, oof. It's a good call. Oh, man. Balkan Warrior, where are you from in the Balkans? I see that. Is that Broza you have in your profile there for Inter? I'm going to guess maybe Croatian then. Um, but Croatia, last World Cup, almost almost got it, man. It was Croatia, Argentina. What does Croatia got here? I'm just trying to find their group quickly, and we've got Croatia, Spain, Germany, and Japan. Woo! Let's take. You know what? I just want to take a second. Um, that's wrong. It's Morocco, Canada, and Belgium. My graphic was completely incorrect. I'm sorry about that. Let's see their squad. Squad. Yeah. Here we go. Gerbic, goalkeeper from Atletico. Ivusic, I don't know him. Who else? We got Lovren. I haven't heard that name in a while. Barisic from Rangers. All right, my immediate impression is that the defense is not strong. Just they're older. Vida's much older. There's no standout defender here. Not one that I'm familiar with. They actually have Erlich from Sassuolo. The midfield is probably the best in the tournament. Modric, Kovacic, Brozovic, Pasalic, Vlasic from Torino. Pasalic, of course, from Atalanta. Brozovic from Inter. And also Jakic from Frankfurt and Sucic. I like Sucic a lot from Salzburg. As Roma drew Salzburg, I started to look into him and really liked what that kid offers in the center mid position. Orsic, Budimir, Levaya. I don't know. I don't know how good this Croatia is gonna do. But Serbia might be the best team from the Balkans right now. Good to hear. Good to hear. Yes, Skriniar. It's hard to tell the I'm sorry, the icon there. Oh, guys, wrapping it up now. Once again, let me know what you think. I'll be back as the tournament progresses and be looking at these Roma players as well as Serie A players. I'm not just going to stop. Let's say Argentina goes out and Poland. Not going to cover the entire tournament. Have a good week. Get some good rest. Stay healthy. Talk to you soon. Ciao.